Hi, this is DJD Reviews here, back for a look at Ocular Max PS-01 Sphinx, the espionage stealth mould of this figure, limited to 500 worldwide. This was an exclusive at TFCon Toronto 2016 in July. I'd like to thank Max and Me Love Toys and BO2 Country, Boris from ages 3 and up in Canada, for allowing me the opportunity to do this review. It's not going to be a review as such. This figure has had 4, including this one, has had 4 different variants of the mould. So the articulation, how the figure moves and postures and so forth, posing, there's nothing really different. This is really looking at what's different with the figure in terms of the paint scheme, and I also want to go into how this figure came about. So if you guys don't know, this is a figure from Ocular Max, and this is their MP scale of figures, which they refer to as their Perfection series. And the first figure released by them was their Sphinx mold, which is a homage to G1 Mirage. The first mold came out last year and was predominantly a dark blue and white figure, and it came with a parachute and also different face sculpt as well. Unfortunately, it did have a couple of issues, especially one with regards to the front suspension being a little bit soft, so when you were rolling it, the front suspension did dip down. They released a second version which had a slightly lighter blue, so that people could choose between having a toy accurate or a cartoon accurate version of the mold. And then within this second release, they also fixed the front suspension issue. There has also been a third release. This was a homage to Japanese Diaclone series, and they named this Liger, and this was a repaint, so they changed the blue to a vibrant red, and they also used a completely new head sculpt on the figure. This particular figure, their stealth, as I said, is limited to only 500 worldwide, and thanks to Max and Me Love Toys, I was very fortunate at TF Nation this year to pick one up. He managed to get hold of 2 at TF Con and brought them back to the UK, and I picked one up at TF Nation. So big shout out to Max and Me Love Toys. So as you can see here, some really beautiful artwork on the box depicting Sphinx being shot at and him disappearing into his stealth mode. Some really beautiful artwork here, and that continues round to this side of the box, just with the Perfection, the Art of Transformation, and again similar on the other side. If we take a look at the top of the box, we've got Perfection series, the Art of Transformation, and then as you can see there, Stealth Toronto, 65 of 500 pieces limited. So again, a very unique figure, and if you've managed to get yourself one of these, you count yourself incredibly lucky. These are going for a hefty fee on eBay, and they are, as a very sought after at this moment in time. One of the things that I really like about Ocular Max is within their packaging, they actually give a lot of credit to those that were involved in making the product come to be. So if we open up the box here, we can see that we have credits to the designer, the individual that did the sculpting, the individual company that helped with designing the packaging, doing the photography and the manual for the figure. So also a big shout out here to Chigokin, Unem Studio Productions and Pake for Life. Go and check these guys out, they're spot on with all their artwork and photography, and Peg for Life does some really good reviews in general, but also with some figures he's done some transformation tutorials, so go and check these guys out on YouTube. On the back of the box you have a schematic of Sphinx in robot mode and also in vehicle mode from a number of different viewpoints, and you also get some schematics of his weaponry as well. So that's pretty much the box. I'm going to put that off to one side. You do get some accessories with the box. So the first one is the driver. So this is the same as all the other drivers that came with the previous molds. This one is in a gunmetal grey. Besides that, nothing has really changed with the actual mold of this figure itself. So that's the driver. You also get a collector's card with some really nice artwork on the front, PS-01 Sphinx, and then on the reverse you get a bio and then some really nice artwork of the figure in robot and vehicle mode, and then you get the obligatory stats as well. So really nice that they included that. Instruction manual again with some artwork, the same artwork that was on the collector's card, and then on the reverse again just giving credit where credit's due to all those that were involved in bringing this figure to us Transformers fans. We also get a postcard which has the artwork from the box. Again, really nice piece of art there. And on the back it just says a big thank you for purchasing this, and the fact that it's limited to 500 worldwide, and the fact that all the detailing and the painting that went in to manufacture this particular figure, very technical side of manufacture for this particular figure. Along that he gets his weapons. These weapons are the same as before. This is just molded in clear plastic with some nice molded detail. As you can see, this is clear plastic, so they've designed this so that it's actually already gone through the cloaking process, and you can see some nice orange detailing here on there as well. So very nice to include that. And then finally you have his shoulder cannon. Again, the shoulder cannon does separate, so you've got the missile and the actual cannon itself, but it doesn't have a firing mechanism. And again, this sits on the side of his shoulder. Again, this is just clear plastic. There's no other detailing other than the original plastic sculpt work on this. And then the final accessory that you get with the figure is this plastic box. So if you're a G1 fan, you'll probably know that Mirage, when he went into his cloaking mode, a box would appear around him. So what they've done is they've done this box in homage to that, and again they have detailed the box with some nice line work around the edges. Again, the Perfection Series logo at the bottom, and this means that you can actually place the figure inside the box and display it on your shelf. So that's a really nice addition if you want to do something slightly different with the figure. So those are all the accessories. I'm just going to finally bring in Sphinx himself. So yeah, like I said, BO2 Country, or Boris, from ages 3 and up in Canada. I'm not sure if you guys know, but Mastermind Creations, which is a parent company to Ocular Max, they're based in Canada. And when they first developed the mold, they molded it in clear plastic and then sent it out to several people to review, to make sure that there was good articulation, there were no issues with the figure before they took it into mass production. And Boris was lucky enough to get himself one of these pre-production samples to take a look at it. Now, one of the things that Boris does is he takes figures and he customizes does customized paint jobs, so basically kit bashing. So when they actually finally released the first version of this figure, Boris was able to get hold of this and still had the clear version, and he went through a kit bashing process. What this basically meant was that he took both figures completely apart, and what he wanted to do was quite unique. He wanted to paint it in such a way that made the figure look as if it was going through a phase of cloaking. So he took 15 pieces from the figure and painted them in such a way that you have all this fine detail here going into cloaking mode, and you have all this clear plastic here. So essentially he chose 15 specific pieces on the figure that he needed to paint. Now obviously this is something that had to look into in some detail, because if you're aware, there are certain pieces on the mold which don't end up in the same place, or they are rotated into a different orientation in one mode compared to the other. So for example, the cockpit, the back of the figure here, actually rotates round in vehicle mode. So one of the things that Boris had to make sure of was that he painted the right pieces. He only painted 15, and this is essentially what has come to be as a result of some photos that he took once he'd finished the kit bashing. These photos managed to find themselves to Mastermind Creations, and they liked the product so much that they approached Boris to see if he would be interested in actually commissioning 500 pieces for sale. Now, as a result of the digi-bashing, or the kit bashing, there's another version of this mold, because if you see here with this mold, you have the chest plate is actually painted. Now, there is another figure that Boris has where the chest plate is actually in the clear plastic, because obviously there were two figures that were kit bashed to make this one figure. So Boris has that figure. Whether or not he's going to sell that or release it, or if Mastermind Creations, Ocular Max are going to do anything with it, not entirely sure at this point. But just want to show you some of this detail. So it's obviously got some really nice detailing on the clear plastic. Again, seeing the paintwork there, some really nice detail. And if again we turn the figure to the side, you see here that they've also included a clear wheel as well. Again, this is some really nice detailed paintwork. Can't really fault Ocular Max for the level of detail in this figure. So like I said, there were 500 of these released, thanks to a collaboration between BO2 Country, Boris, and Mastermind Creations, Ocular Max. And I've been fortunate enough to get this particular figure in hand, very fortunate. So I'd like to again thank Max and Me Love Toys and also Boris for being able to get my hands on this figure. Again, it's just taking a nice 360 view of the figure, and there you go. So like I said, if you've managed to get hold of the one of these, count yourself incredibly lucky, as there are only 500 worldwide. I do know that Kapow Toys have managed to get hold of a few copies. So if you want to get yourself one of these, check out Kapow Toys, and they might have some in stock. Otherwise, that's it really. Like I said, I only wanted to kind of cover how this particular figure came to be. So again, a big shout out to BO2 Country, Boris from ages 3 and up in Canada, and again thanks to Max and Me Love Toys for allowing me to get this figure. If you have any questions, please post in the comments below. I'll also leave a few links in the description below, so you can check out BO2 Country, ages 3 and up. Also a link to Kapow Toys as well, so that you can go and purchase one of these figures for yourself. Anyway, that's really what I wanted to show you guys. Thanks very much for listening and watching. Take care. I'll see you later. Bye bye.